Okay guys, we're going to go ahead and get started on Derek's refine. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do these tungsten contacts, get them out of the way, and then this bag of look like mixed solder and all the little contacts and stuff that were mixed up or stuck together or semi-melted. We're going to go ahead and do those. Get these two started first. I'm thinking these are going to be our worst yields. So for the first one, we're going to need about 70. I'm going to start with about 70 mils of nitric acid and 70 mils of distilled water. So let me go ahead and get this in here. Got about 70 in there. And this one I'm going to go with about 100. So we actually have 100 mils of nitric acid there for the bigger one. Wipe this off, put this back away. I'm not going to burn any of this off because I do believe it was already burned off. You know, we had to use heat to get them off of the, to get them off of the, whatever they were mounted to. So we're going to go ahead and put those in there. I know these are small batches, but they're going to probably, if anything's going to give me any trouble, it's going to be these. So I want to go ahead and get these out of the way first. Got those. I'm going to put about 100 mils of distilled water in this one. Maybe we got a little more, I don't know for sure. Got one little thing sticking up there. Doesn't look like it's going to want to lay down. So we might have to put a little bit more in here to cover that. So we got about 175 mils in this one, no big deal, it'll work out. And I'm going to go ahead and put just about 70 mils in this one. I'm going to transfer these over to our, well, that's got about 90 in it. No, again, no big deal. This is not something that has to be precise. I'm going to go ahead and get these moved over to the burner, and then we'll start adding our nitric acid, and we will go from there, guys. So we'll be back at you in just a second. Okay, we are back. I've gone ahead and got these set up on the little burners. I've just got this slightly on and this coffee warmer. So we just want a little bit of heat to help things out. I have our covers and our acid. That's for that one, and this is for this one. So I'm going to go ahead and add about 25% of my acid. I don't know what all this mixed mash stuff is in here, so we could get quite a reaction. So I'm just going to go real easy with this. Just going to put a little, and we are getting an almost immediate reaction, so that tells me that there is some junk in there because it's reacting very fast. Go ahead and put a little bit of acid in this one. And we got pretty much an immediate reaction there. I'm going to go ahead and cover these. And I'm going to let them do their thing. So we'll let these play out a little bit, and then we'll get back at you in a little while. I'm going to kind of go through this one because, like I said, this one's going to be the tough one. The other one should be pretty standard. But we'll go through this entire process on this one, and then probably with the next 4 batches, we'll do little outtakes and little whatever, just to quickly show you what's going on throughout those. But this will probably be the longest of the refining parts. And then in the end, we will have to see whether he wants his material returned as powder, returned as shot, or poured into bars. So we will be probably pouring something. Most people take, unless they're going to do their own casting, they take either shot or a bar. So anyhow, we'll get back at you guys in a little bit. I'm going to let this go ahead and do its thing and play out. We'll get back to you when we're going to put more acid in. Okay, guys, our reactions have slowed quite a bit. We're still getting a nice even little reaction in this one, and I don't know if you can see it, you know, in the camera or not, but see how blue this is? This is the tungsten, but look at how green and nasty this one is. This is all that mixed up stuff. So that, just the color of that solution tells me that we have a lot of junk in there. So I'm going to go ahead, this one has almost stopped completely, so I'm just going to go ahead and put some more acid in there real quick, and do the same with the other one while I'm doing this. So I'll go ahead and add a little more to this one. And that immediately changed some color and perked us up. And we will go ahead and add a little bit more acid to this one, being that we're in the midst of doing that. I should actually have a glove on, but I'm doing my best not to touch anything over here. And I'm in the middle of cleaning up my shop out here, so it's kind of hard to keep putting the glove on and off, but I should have a glove on. Put a little bit more in there, and we're just going to let these guys go. And we will get back to you in a little bit. Let you see them work for a second. Go ahead and cover my nitric acid back up. Yeah, see that little bit more of acid really lit that one up. So we're going to have to be careful with that one because there's a lot of garbage in it. Alrighty guys, we'll get back at you when we go to add a little more acid. Okay guys, our reaction has pretty much slowed to nothing, but I want to show you something. See, this is exactly why I'm doing stuff separately. You see that? Can you see that in there? There is actually something cementing out in here. I don't know if you can see it very well. It's kind of hard to get a look at without me looking at it from the bottom. Let me tip it as much as I can. You see all that bright shiny stuff? That is actually another type of metal or silver or something cementing out in this solution. So this is exactly why you don't just throw everything into a pot and do it all at once, because that right there may have fouled my entire, I don't know if you can see that one right there? See that? This is very possibly could have fouled the entire batch. So this is exactly why I wanted to do it this way. So anyway, while I've got them open, I'm going to go ahead and add a little more acid. We're going to see what happens with this one. See if we can figure out what's going on in there. But there, we actually had something happen that I could show you exactly why I wanted to do it this way. So we are going to let this stuff just continue on. I'm going to set this off over here for a second. Put a little more nitric in this one. And let them run. Okay, well, we still have some activity going on over here in our tungsten contact, so I'm going to leave that alone. What I'm actually going to do right now is add a little bit of distilled water to our solder mixed up junk stuff. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to add a little more acid and see if we can't get whatever all this is to go into solution. Rinse that off a little bit. Really don't know what all that is yet. I can't see. We are still getting a little bit of stuff cementing out in there. So like I said, I'm actually gonna put a little bit more distilled water in here, give some of that metal somewhere to go. And and I'm going to hit it with some more nitric acid. And that was enough to generate us some reaction. Let's see if we can get a little bit more on that one. This is the one that's given us the problem. I'm actually going to go ahead and add some more nitric to that because I don't think we have to worry about it coming out right now. That should have. Shown more of a reaction if we had to worry about that. But anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and keep fiddling with this one. That one is actually doing okay. This one over here, it's staying clear. It's not clouding up. We're not getting any other deposits out of it, but this one we are actually getting some other metals, or could be tin, could be anything cementing out of this, because that was all that solder and all that mixed up, you know, halfway melted stuff. So we're just going to let this continue on and see what we end up with. Okay guys, it's been several hours. It looks like our reaction has stopped over here. We have a nice clear blue fluid. Here we are still getting a little reaction. We do have a large amount of like white precipitant in the bottom of this container. The fact that I am still getting a reaction. Let's see what we've got in here, if we still have some metal. We still have some metal in there, so what I'm actually going to do is go ahead and add the rest of the nitric that I had out for this one. I don't think I need it. I'm going to put a drop in here and see what's going on, if we need it or not. I don't think we do. I think what I see left in there is the tungsten contacts. So let me just put a drop or two in there and see if anything happens. I'm actually going to swirl it around to clear off the top of those contacts and see if we get any bubbles. But I don't think we're going to need any more in there. I think that one's actually that one looks pretty much done. I'm not seeing any more reaction, so we will just leave it sit overnight anyway, and I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of this nitric acid to this batch. I really don't know what is going on in here yet. That's, like I said, that's exactly why we did it this way. Okay, so we did get some more reaction. I'm going to go ahead and rinse this cup, put that in there. I'm going to put this back on here. Okay guys, it is the next day. It is an absolutely gorgeous day. It's cool. I don't know what's going on. Feels like fall. I know it's not. But anyway, there's our tungsten one from yesterday. You can see the contacts that are left in there. This one finally did seem to clear up. There's a little bit of residue in the bottom. I'm gonna probably filter that off and then hit that little bit of residue with a little bit more 50-50 nitric. But I'm gonna go ahead and get these set up and start getting them filtered off, so that we can drop the silver out of these first two batches and get the rest of them going. So we will be back at you in a little bit. Okay guys, I just rinsed our filter from our tungsten contacts. Here they are. I'm going to go take them inside. This one is almost done. Like I said, I just rinsed off the, ran some distilled water through there, so we're going to let that finish filtering off, and that is actually our batch from the tungsten. We're going to have just a little bit over 200 milliliters of fluid. I don't know, probably 50 of that is already water, so we will make up the difference to double our volume of water, and then we're going to start working on this one. And that actually has quite a bit of residue left in the bottom. That white powder, it doesn't act like silver chloride. I know once silver chloride forms in the nitric, you're not gonna, it's not gonna dissolve again, but that was just, I mean, like I said earlier, and a couple times I've already said it, this is why we do things, or I do things in separate batches, because I have absolutely no idea if this would have fouled the entire batch. I don't know exactly what all is in there. I know there is some silver in there, so the rest could just be junk. I mean, we don't have any idea right now. But again, that's why I do things separately, because if that is, I mean, you remember when we had that whole batch go black, I mean, and had to redo the entire thing. When I have to redo something, that's it. I'm actually doing it for nothing at that point, because the cost of the acid for what I get when I'm doing a refine, I mean, even though 25% seems like, wow, that's, a quarter of what you're doing, half of my 25% goes for, if you want to call it, equipment, for acids, for filters, for, all the stuff that I need to do it. So I'm actually only ending up with about 12.5% for doing what I'm doing. If I have to do it again, then it's just, I'm at nothing. I basically get my money back that I have invested. So that's why I was saying earlier, when you do something like this, you want it to go right the first time. And nitric acid is just getting to the point it's too expensive. It's very expensive to have it shipped. I mean, if you buy a quart of nitric acid, you're going to pay less for the acid than you are for the shipping. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let this finish. I've already rinsed it once. You can see we do have some residue in there. We know we got a bunch in here, but I'm going to take this in and do that, tally this up, and see where we're at as far as just the weight of the leftover tungstens. This one actually started at 69.5 grams, so we know we're going to have immediate waste right there. But we'll get back at you in a bit. Okay guys, we are starting to filter off batch 2. As you can see, that white milk, I mean, it actually looks like silver chloride, but I don't know how that could be possible. But I guess anything's possible. I'm not exactly sure what the white is. There's some gray and other, I don't know if you can see the color as I'm trying to shake it off, as you can see the color going down, but a grayish, like we usually get from doing contacts, that little bit of gray colored stuff, grayish purplish, almost a lavender gray, I don't know, but anyway, that's in there too as well. But that white, I'm really not sure what it is. I've got a slow filter paper, so we're going to pretty much get all of it out. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let this filter. I actually have batch 3 out here to start. As soon as I clear this 1,000 milliliter beaker, I actually have some, this is just rinse water from my silver cell. It was about probably 1.5 gallons, and I've got it reduced down to about 1,000 milliliters now. I'm going to actually reduce it down some more, but I need this big beaker to do this next batch. So as soon as I get this filtered off and cleaned, I'm going to transfer that stuff, just that rinse water, because there's actually silver in there. We'll go through, I'll actually make a video out of that too down the road. But I need to transfer that into this beaker because I need the bigger beaker for this one. So this is the U-shaped ones. This is going to be batch 3. These, I believe, have a little bit more copper. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going from batch to batch as far as what I think is going to yield the most. So we will get back to doing this in just a little bit. In fact, this is actually going to be the beginning of the next video. I'm going to finish this video out by filtering this off and seeing how much fluid we ended up with out of here, and then drying this stuff out and weighing it up. But anyway, we will get back at you in just a bit. Okay guys, I don't know how well you can see this over here. I'm not gonna, but that is very cloudy. It is going to take forever for that to filter off. This was our batch that had, I'm actually going to have to filter it again because we still have a little haze in here, and as you can see from our tungsten, it's absolutely clear. Well, that's what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and let this filter through. It's probably going to take several hours for that. I'm going to go ahead and get these U-shaped contacts started. So we've got 443.8 grams, and what we're actually going to do is we're just going to get these in here. I'm going to show you me starting them up, and then we're just going to let them play out, and I'm going to end this first video actually with starting these. We will probably do, I don't know if I'm going to go ahead, I don't know for sure if I'm going to drop this stuff before we start the other remaining batches, or if I'm just going to keep it all separate and drop them individually. I know this I'm going to keep separate, and that I'm going to keep separate. Now the rest of them I don't know, it's just going to depend on how they turn out. But anyway, we had 443 grams in here, so I'm going to go ahead and put in about 400 mils of distilled water, which I'm going to have to go get some more. I'm almost out. We'll put about 450. So we got about 450 mils of distilled water. I'm going to measure out my nitric acid for this, get it up there on the burner, and then we'll get back to you in just a second. Okay, we have got this set up on the burner. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of nitric acid. I've started with by measuring out 400 milliliters, which should be enough to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and add some. And pretty much we got an instant reaction, which tells me again I was pretty much right about these, that there is going to be some copper in them. When you get a really quick reaction like that, an almost instantaneous reaction, it tells you that there's base metal. I mean, that really, you know, if it was pure silver, the reaction wouldn't be so fast. Generally, you get that fast, quick reaction when there's base metal. So we're going to go ahead and cover this. We're going to let that first batch play out. And you've seen this 1,000 times. So like I said, I'm probably going to go ahead and end this part 1 video here. Let these clean up, get some more fluid, get the rest of this stuff filtered off. And then we'll get back at you in the next part, when we're going to start doing the ones that we know are going to be a little bit better. Alrighty guys, have a good one, and we will see you all in the next video.